Hello, welcome to This Is Not a TIFF Roundtable. I am not Adam Nayman. Immediately to my left is not John Semley, and then not Mark Peranson, not Robert Koehler, and not Jason Anderson. This year, unlike in past years, we actually have an agenda. We've been taking questions via social media to help structure this year's TIFF Roundtable. But maybe before that, there was an unofficial question from a Canadian programmer when I was on my way to do this, and his question was, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this roundtable? Who's this for?" Which echoes a question that we're going to get to later with the festival in general. So this is the question I submit to you, gentlemen. Why are we doing this roundtable? Why should people watch as we talk through for the next hour or so?
Well, people should watch because we did it.
Okay.
We're doing it because you want to do it.
We're doing it because we can.
There's nothing else to see right now.
Yeah, exactly. We're just testing that whole internet has infinite capacity thing. We're going to really push it today.
Well, I thought a good answer might be that we did the online roundup this year with 105, 106 capsules and still counting, which is more than I think any Toronto-based publication, as Mark pointed out.
Publication in the world, I think.
Possibly more than any publication in the world. Unique privilege we have having critics who are at other festivals, and as well as this one, and a lot of writers who did a lot of hard work. So I guess we thought that this would be a nice online complement to all of the online coverage, which is of course up now and in perpetuity at cinemascope.com. And the internet is also where we got all of these questions from. So one of the first questions that we got, let's see, which one should we start with? We were just talking about the City to City program and the City to City panel. Has anyone here seen any of the films from the City to City panel this year? Because I missed most of them. The only one I saw was The Cat Vanishes, which I didn't like. I have a feeling a lot of people saw Invasion, which is the older film. But the question, which came from an M. Slutsky of Montreal, was whether we'd seen any of the new... Mark S. of Montreal.
That's too obvious.
To see if we'd seen any of the new Argentine films. So does anyone have anything to contribute on that point? Bob?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, in the City to City program, you had films like Rodrigo Moreno's extremely flat and empty A Mysterious World, which premiered in Berlin, which is a doodle, really amounts to nothing, and kind of is a very poor selection representing new Argentine cinema. I saw about 10 minutes of Fatherland, Tierra de los Padres by Nicolas Privedera, set in the gigantic, second largest necropolis in the world in Buenos Aires, the Recoleta Cemetery. Sort of neo-Strobian, looked possibly interesting, but then I got reports back that it wasn't so hot. Let's see. Oh well, probably the best film that I would say the two best films probably showing in the group. I did not see Invasion, but Pablo Tropero's Crane World,
Which is an older film.
Which and the thing about Crane World that's important is that it's represented really. If you had to pinpoint maybe one film that launched the quote-unquote new Argentine cinema, it would probably be Crane World. That was the first, I think I'm technically correct on this, it was the first completed and theatrically presented independent film by the younger generation of Argentine filmmakers who emerged at the very end of the 1990s. And it was a very important film for Bafisi, which was in its very early years at that point, and it allowed it allowed Bafisi to exhibit and present the new generation in a context, and it helped put that festival on the map. And the other, the really good new film in the City to City section is The Student. El Estudiante.
Anyone else see it?
I have seen A Student, yes. And in a way, you can link that back to Tropero, because Tropero, the director of The Student, the writer Santiago Mitre, also wrote the last two Pablo Tropero films, and he's writing the next Pablo Tropero films. The film the Tropero film it's most like is El Bonaerense, more than Crane World. And in fact, the interesting thing about choosing Crane World for this this collection of films is there really aren't many films that follow in the mold of Crane World that they're showing in this panel, or Invasion. Though Invasion has actually had a large impact on new Argentine cinema of the last 5 to 10 years, I'd say. But for some reason, the films that were chosen went in different directions.
Yeah.
The program to me doesn't really, it doesn't work as a program. I mean, it's just sort of, it's scattered.
Yeah.
It deals with, they're all from Buenos Aires, but besides that, if you really wanted to do something, you could do something, I think, in a better way of maybe not showing all new films. They have a few older films, but also some of the last couple of years, not just 2 classics and then all the new output, if you know what I mean.
And also, if you're going to do a city themed series, then I think focus in on the really interesting films in which the city is a primary character.
That was one of my issues among many with The Cat Vanishes, which is a film that I think has a couple of exterior shots of Buenos Aires, but really could have been set anywhere. I mean, we're talking now about City to City as a kind of discrete program, of which there aren't really that many at this festival that have that kind of unity, because a lot of the programs are gigantic. I mean, contemporary world cinema is not a program, it's like 100 plus movies. So one other question that we got from a contributor on Twitter, an M. Sachinsky, was whether we thought that Michael S. Whether we thought that the very explicit personalization of programmers, which is not something that people around the festival are intuiting or coming up with. They're the literally life-size cardboard cutouts of programmers that are strewn around festival grounds, including the Scotiabank. Do we think that the personalization of programmers coincides at all with the sense of personalized taste in any of the programming? That's his question. Does it coincide with a more discernible sense of taste within those discrete programs, whether it's the smaller specialized ones like City to City or the gigantic big ones?
I think it's interesting because sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, I think outside of Andréa and Colin,
Yeah.
it's really maybe Tom Powers, but people kind of fill out reel to reel as well. But people very much associate Wavelengths with Andréa as well as Midnight Madness with Colin. It's kind of reflects their sensibility in some way.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, I wouldn't know a film that Cameron picked to see it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it does sort of point out this. I mean, this idea that the festival is unwieldy in its girth with like 260 plus features and that there. I mean, I think it's interesting that the TIFF Powers decided that they were going to do highlight the programmers, put their pictures up in the theaters and stuff, because it does sort of point out that this is an issue in the festival, that kind of how to make it more manageable or more curated or something. But the trouble is, like, Midnight Madness and Wavelengths have a sort of tidy curatorial aspect, which people really have come to appreciate greatly about the festival. And there is still kind of this lingering question, like how do you kind of create more of those within the festival? I mean, City to City, I think, is an interesting stab, but it's still evolving. And I kind of wish that, well, why wasn't that just a sort of new Argentine cinema sort of sub-series or something like that, like we used to have with the national cinema programs and the director spotlights? I mean, I think that I wouldn't be surprised if those start to come back in the picture too.
But to echo the question that I guess was asked at the beginning of the podcast, what is this for? And to continue with Michael S.'s question, Michael said, who's the festival for? So I guess who's the personalization of programmers for? I mean, is it for really the ticket buying audience? Is it for the festival itself to sort of say, look, we're paying attention to who it is who picks our films. We're trying to get across the idea that people have personalities. Like, they did something that I thought was a nice idea this year before TIFF, which you were at, although I think you actually missed the meat of it, which was each programmer came and picked one film that they thought was really special to a group of journalists. And the idea behind that ostensibly is, let's shine some light on something that's not a major film. That kind of does run counter to the way the promotion of the festival actually works a lot of the time, which we can maybe talk about. But who's the personalization of the programmers for? Do they think the people waiting in line at the Scotiabank are really interested, or are they doing it for themselves?
I think it puts kind of a sunny face on it.
Sorry, John?
It puts kind of a sunny face on it, like, you would assume that these films are programmed by some sort of programming robot metric at times. So, having these it's kind of trifling and silly. But yeah, I think they're trying to connect the audience to the programmers in some way.
The only way I read it is that it's another vehicle by which the festival can promote itself. After all, the programmers selecting the films, supposedly, are personally introducing the films, at least in the first public screening, if not the second one. So the audience that's actually in the theater is meeting the programmer, in person. and the programmer supposedly has written the program notes. Well, I really wonder about that most of the time in the sections. So the programmers put their names on the films that they program for that section. So there's that. I don't know if we need a banner poster up in the lobby for them. It just seems like a promotion vehicle. I don't think it really means anything beyond that.